Okay, we are looking at the second half of the Unit 2 test review, or the Unit 2 practice test. And the second half of this review is a little more wordy than the first half, which is just kind of straightforward algebra skills. So the number 5 here says, determine an expression that represents the perimeter of the figure. And this one was actually on the Kahoot if you were in a class that got to play it today. So remember that if I want the perimeter, I'm going to add all the sides together, right? So if this side is 2x minus 3, then this side is 2x minus 3. And if this side is 5 minus 5x, this side is 5 minus 5x, okay? So you've got 4 sides. And then we want to add all those sides together in order to be able to find the perimeter, okay? So there's a couple of different ways we can do this. Let's see here, 5, letter A. We can literally just write the 4 sides and combine like terms. It might be just a little bit easier if we use distributive property. So we can say that's 2 sides that are 5 minus 5x, and 2 sides that are 2x minus 3. Give me just a second. I'm going to go turn my light off and see if that fixes this. Okay, sorry. 2 sides of 5 minus 5x and 2 sides of 2x minus 3. Okay, much better on the lighting. So distributive property times 2, and over here, distributive property times 2 would give me 10 minus 10x plus 4x minus 6. And then you can sort of see here I need to combine like terms. So I have a negative 10x and a positive 4x in the middle here. And then on the outside, I have my constants, 10 and negative 6. So when I combine negative 10x and positive 4x, that gives me negative 6x. And then when I combine 10 minus 6, I get a positive 4. Okay, and then, it doesn't tell me I have to find just an expression, so I can stop there. The second figure that I want to find the perimeter of is this triangle. So again, I'm just adding up all the sides. So the other way I could have done that earlier is just to say 2x plus 1 plus 2x plus 1 plus 3x plus 5. Okay? And then, of course, I'm just going to go back to the same thing that I was talking about, combining like terms. So I combine all of my terms that have x's in them, making sure to pay attention to the sign in front of them. And then a 1, and a 1, and a 5. So again, just kind of collecting like terms here. 2x plus 2x plus 3x, 2, 4, 7x. 1, 2, 7. 7x plus 7 would give me an expression for the perimeter. Okay. Number 6 here says, determine an expression for the volume of a cube if the side length measures 6x to the 4th, and then find the volume if x is 2. Okay. So I've got a couple of things going here. An expression for the volume using this side length means my first answer should have x in it. Okay, so I can find the volume of a cube by taking side times side times side, which is side cubed. Because in a cube, all the sides are the same length. If it were rectangular, I would do length times width times height. But because it's a cube, all the sides are the same length. Okay, so this ends up being, if I think about it in terms of its expression, 6x to the 4th times 6x to the 4th times 6x to the 4th, right? And then 6 times 6 is 36, and 36 times 6 is 216. And then x to the fourth times x to the fourth times x to the fourth. Because I'm just multiplying like bases, I can just add the exponents. 4 plus 4 plus 4, which would be, I need a x here, sorry. X to the 12th, right? It would be like multiplying x 12 times. So here's an expression for the volume when I don't know x, okay? And then it tells me to actually find the volume given x is 2. Find the volume given x is 2. So then I can take my expression for volume, which was 216x to the 12th. But instead of x, I know x is 2. So this is going to become 216 2 to the 12th. And I need to make sure I'm paying attention to order of operations here. I need to make sure it's 2 to the 12th, and then that answer times 216. So if I go to the calculator here, I can go straight into typing it in all at once. So that will be 216 2 to the 12th. And then I just hit enter, and I get this answer right here. So volume is going to be 8.84736. And I don't think I would put that in scientific notation, but I could if I wanted to. If I went to scientific notation, it would go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in. So it would be times 10 to the 5th. It would be, I'm going to put a decimal point here, and I need to decide if 84 is going to round, and 7 rounds 84 to 85. So if I were going to put this in scientific notation, it would be 8.85 times 10 to the 5th. Okay. Number 7 says, the side length of a square must be what if you are told the area of the square is 81x to the 4th. Okay, so you've got this square, and you know the sides all have to be the same length because it's a square, and these marks just indicate that they're all the same length. And you know the area is 81x to the 4th, right? So you know you can find the area by doing side times side. Now again, we could call this length times width, but because it's a square, they're the same size. So I could just call them side times side. And I just realized that I wrote a cuss word, so I feel kind of bad about that now. But we're just going to go with it. So if I know the area is 81x to the 4th, then I'm just looking for what multiplies by itself to get 81x to the 4th. Well, the number is easy. 9 times 9 is 81. The variable is a little harder, right? Because if I just say x times x, that will be 1 plus 1 is 2, right? So then I increase it. Is 2 plus 2 4? Yes. So one side length would be 9x to the 2nd. And remember, we talked about this. What's going to happen every single time is I'm going to end up taking the square root of the coefficient. Square root of 81 is 9. And then I'll end up taking half of the exponent. Because remember, a 1/2 power and a square root are the same thing. Okay. Moving into question 8. And I'm going to come back to my piece of paper here. Well, I guess I don't have to. It says, how many terms does this polynomial have once it's been simplified? I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do this on a piece of paper. So I'm looking first at, let's see, 2x to the 3rd plus 7x to the 2nd minus 36 plus 5x minus 6x plus 15x to the 8th plus 3x squared. So it says how many terms once simplified. Once simplified. Okay, so if I just find out how many terms there are now, that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 terms. But some of these terms are like terms, and so I need to combine them. So there are no other terms like 2x to the 3rd. Okay, so he's by himself. And there's one more x squared term. So I'm going to end up combining these two. And looks like negative 36 is the only constant. Now I have to go to markers because I'm out of colors here. Plus 5x minus 6x, these two are going to end up going together. Okay. And then 15x to the 8th, he's going to be all by himself because there's no other x to the 8ths. Okay. So 15x to the 8th is going to go first because it has the largest exponent. That's going to be the degree here. And then my next largest exponent is the 3, and there are no other x cubes, so I'm just going to write 2x cubed. My next largest exponent is the second, or the 2. So that's 7x squared plus 3x squared, giving me 10x squareds. And then 5x minus 6x, 5 minus 6, that's negative 1x. And then my constant that comes last is minus 36. Okay? So if I want to know how many terms this will have, once it's simplified, I just count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 different terms. Okay? Then it says, what is the degree of this polynomial? So remember, degree is really easy. It's just, what's the biggest exponent? Do not miss this give me question. 8 is the degree of this polynomial. Which term is the constant term? The constant term is the number that doesn't have a variable on it with the sign in front of it. Okay? So the constant term would be negative 36. All right, the next one, number 9, says, given x equals negative 2, order from smallest to largest. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put 3 times negative 2 minus 9. So I'm just plugging negative 2 into every single one of these equations, and I'm going to get a value, and then I'm going to rank that value from smallest to biggest. Okay, and guys, yes, of course I want you to be able to add, subtract, multiply, and divide without a calculator. But if you're one of those people that struggles with addition, subtraction, and positive, negative numbers, please don't let that be what gets you wrong. Utilize the tool that's in front of you. Okay? So I'm just going to go through typing each one of these into the calculator. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit so it's a little clearer. There we go. So if I want to do 3 times negative 2 minus 9, right? Wherever I'm plugging in that negative number, I'm going to plug it into with a parentheses because that's going to keep me from having a sign mistake later on in the question. Okay? So this first one, negative 15. There we go. And the next one that I'm looking at is negative 2 squared plus 20. And remember, guys, if I type this, and I have probably said this 200 times so far this year, I'm going to get the wrong answer every single time because this is going to square the 2 and make it negative. So if I want to get the right answer, if I want it to actually square a negative 2, then I've got to put parentheses around that negative 2. Okay, so this is going to be your 24. Okay, my next one is 14 minus 6 times negative 2. So 14 minus 6 times negative 2. Again, look, every single time just plugging it into parentheses. Even though when it pops out is actually taking the parentheses away, it's telling me you didn't really need that parentheses, but look what happened on this one. It kept the parentheses because you really need the parentheses when you're squaring a negative. So that answer is 26. And then one more, and it's this big long one right here. And so I'm actually going to start by hitting Control Divide and creating my pretty fraction. So 3 times negative 2 plus 1. If you are using an 84 calculator, Miss Grubel, Miss E's classes, alpha y equals, alpha y equals, we'll get this pretty fraction just like my calculator. I know my calculator looks a little different than what you're used to. So that's 3 times negative 2 plus 1 minus 2 times negative 2 plus 4 over 6, plugging into parentheses, and my answer is 1/2. Okay, so then if I'm going to order from smallest to biggest, let me zoom back out here, from smallest to biggest, that would be negative 15. So A would come first. Next smallest would be D. Next smallest would be B. And next would be C. So negative 15, 1/2, 24, 26 in that order. Okay. One more. It says, use the formula to determine the rate at which Malaysia is traveling given the distance below, measured in miles and time in hours. And so what we're going to have to do here is first we're going to have to pick 2 points because the slope formula requires 2 points. Okay? Now, you can pick any 2 points. I would highly recommend that when you pick your 2 points, it's at whole numbers, just to make your life easier. Okay? So this point right here is at 2, 30. And then I pick another point. I'm going to skip this one because it's halfway between 40 and 50. And I'm going to go to this point, which is at 4, 60. Okay, so those are the 2 points that I'm going to use for my slope formula. So 2, 30 and 4, 60. Remember that every single point is just an X and a Y. And so I would just call this my first point that I'm talking about, and this is my second point that I'm talking about. It could have been in the other order. I just want to make sure that I keep my 1's together and my 2's together in the same ordered pair. Okay? And then you even got the formula, the slope formula, also known as a rate formula because it gives you a rate of change. That's all slope is. x2 minus x1 on the bottom. So in the top, I subtract the y's, 60 minus 30. And in the bottom, I subtract the x's, 4 minus 2. 60 minus 30 is 30. 4 minus 2 is 2. And 30 divided by 2 is 15. And then if I want to put units on it, and I always want to put units on it, I think about what are my y values? Well, my y values are miles. Let me back this up again. My y values are miles. And I think about what are my x's, and my x's are hours. So I have miles that are my y's over hours that are my x's. So this would be 15 miles per hour. You can write it like this. Or you can write it miles per hour like this. Both of those are acceptable. Okay? All right, guys, I really hope this helps you for your test tomorrow. Good luck, study hard, and I will see you in the AM.